What do you know about contemporary arts of Timor-Leste? It exists. A lot of people don't know about it, but it exists. And that's the topic I want to talk to you about today. And my topic is today, tomorrow's past, yesterday's future. My intention is to open your eyes, open your mind for future debate and discussions about contemporary arts of East Timor. And why do I want to do it? Because during my research for my Ph.D., I noticed some fundamental issues that I think we as a people need to talk about. One, of course, is my deep fear for our cultural survival. And two, I'm a contemporary female visual artist. And three is the notion that I hear all the time, if it's not traditional, it's not valuable. Give me a break. So I'd like you to think and consider carefully about the power of visual interaction, how important it is, and that we are born with it. How can we ignore it? Just think. A child will hear, will smell, and will see before he or she can walk or talk. And it's no accident anywhere in the world. You go to a kindergarten, a pre-primary school, a primary school, what do you see? Creativity, creative expression. I've got lots of nephews and nieces. They often give me presents. Do you know what they bring me? Paintings, drawings, collages. They don't bring me a math equation, a result of a science experiment. They bring me drawings. It's the only way they can tell me that they love me. They come all very happy, all proud. Oh, Auntie Maria, look what I brought. I did a drawing. They're so tiny, and they're talking to me. Before I continue, I'd like to read you this quote by Joseph Herman, who I think captures beautifully this idea of the power of creativity and art. He says, "The equilibrium of the total man," I added woman, "makes him," I added her, "as much dependent on art as on science. Science applies itself to the facts of life. Art to the fact and experience of life." As an artist, as a visual artist, my work deals primarily with the contemporary, with the current, and with the modern day language. I don't mean to undermine, in this respect, the ways of our traditions, the ways of our foremothers. I want to create a marriage, an amalgamation of the past and the present, the old and the new, the traditional and the contemporary. When I was doing my research, one of the things that I found was a lot of our grandmothers, their mothers, saying, "Oh, our young people, young generation don't want to know our traditional ways. They think it's too old-fashioned. They don't want to learn how to make ties, basketry, ceramics. They prefer to go nightclubbing. They prefer to be very sexy." And it's great. But the worst thing is, and this is serious, is that this thinking process is higher amongst the younger female generation. And this, to me, is criminal. Because the facts are, traditional terms, women dominate the arts and crafts and the creativity of Timor-Leste. Because they don't want to be involved in the traditional ways, the contemporary ways are completely forgotten, because society, East Timorese society, does not give them room to grow and develop their creativity. especially for East Timorese women. Now, this lack of interest, this lack of encouragement, for me, will cut off my umbilical cord to my motherland. For those who don't know, it's custom in East Timor, still, I think, now done. When I'm born, my umbilical cord is buried next to a tree, next to my house. It's my connection to my motherland, my connection to my ancestry. So if we don't nurture and cultivate the traditional and the contemporary with our younger female generation, we are motherless. We will lose half of our cultural identity. I hear everywhere, all the time, that we need to revive our culture. We need to put some motor so that we can show the world who we are. So let's not turn a blind eye to this lack of attention and interest. Let's not ignore our younger people crying out and saying, I'm creative. I love my culture, but I can only tell you in the language that I know now, which is contemporary. East Timor does not have an art gallery, does not have an art supply shop. How is that possible? A lot of people know that artists live under the poverty line. We are the poorest members of society, believe me. We have to count our coins to buy art materials. But in East Timor, we have to find also money for a return airfare. So I'm finding 20 cents to go buy a pencil, and if I want more, I have to beg, I have to steal for money to go buy my airfare so that I can buy some color, some acrylic, some oil paint. And this is just so sad. East Timor prides itself as being one of the most creative, diverse, rich cultural society. And yet we ignore what we do now culturally. How am I going to explain to my future generation that nothing was done? How can we justify that we don't have an art gallery, that we don't have an art supply shop? How are we going to be perceived 500 years from now? That during the most important time of our history, our independence, we did not grow, we did not develop culturally, artistically? I refuse. Because I know in my heart, and I know that there are a lot of creativity, contemporary language, current day creative language. And we can create our contemporary artistic endeavors. All we have to do is just pay some attention. It's just hear the young people. We can show our traditional ways in a contemporary, with a contemporary outlook. What's the problem? By doing so, we will create what will be distinctive East Timorese. After all, what we do today is tomorrow's past and yesterday's future. I want to tell you, I feel in my heart that what I am now was perceived 500 years ago as the future and will be perceived 500 years from now as the past. It's a linear, continuous line that does not allow one to live without the other. And it's a plight that I fight for all the time. For the society, the people, the East Timorese, to understand and accept that we live in a contemporary world. I'm here, I'm Timorese, in Dili, Hotel Timor, today, doing a presentation in English. How contemporary is that? But I want to show you with my artwork. I want to show examples and show the younger generation, especially the women, that we can. We don't have to forget our past. We don't have to disrespect the ways of our foremothers. We reach out to them, and then we talk and communicate who we are now. This work, this location, in Le Morai. This location, the first ever exhibition I did with my professor David Jones, who is my mentor. It's an installation work that is about 8 by 6 meters. Every newspaper page that you see there tells a story about East Timor. And the second, Le Morai, walking aimlessly throughout the world, that's how I felt. The boat is very fragile. I don't know where I belong. And both works are contemporary. And it talks about my history. It talks about who I am. 270 plus, the Santa Cruz massacre. When I heard about the massacre, I really wanted to show exactly how I felt. And what I want to do was to show East Timor and show the warrior. So the thing that came to my mind was Kaibau. We were very proudly warriors wear it to dance. I analyzed it, I did lots of sketches, and I came up with 54 Kaibauks. Each one has got 5 crosses. So 54 times 5 makes 270. And then I put the cross on the floor to signify more than 270 East Timorese young people passed away at the Santa Cruz massacre. It's contemporary and also traditional because it talks about who we are with our kabauk. Thank you. And of course, no art shop. So when I came here, I was teaching at Art Timorese, trying to develop a bit of the young minds, creative minds. And I was really stunned that I couldn't find any materials. So I travel a lot. I love traveling and around East Timor. I love traveling around East Timor, trying to find who I am. And I noticed betel nut is so deeply embedded in our society, in our culture. And it's such a beautiful, rich color. So I go to my Umalulik, the place where I was born. My family gets together, does a big traditional event, starts chewing betel nut, spits on the floor, and I think, wow, that's nice color. I can buy that at the shop. So I went and grabbed a canvas, put it on the floor and said, spit. And they all said, oh man, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I said, trust me, it works. Spit. So I started to develop and explore what I can do in East Timor with drawing and creativity without having to find an airfare, a return airfare. So it's all betel nut. Instead of painting someone chewing betel nut to show what it means in our culture, I literally chew it and spat on it. And I used a tige to create color. So all the bits and pieces that they make handbags and shoes, I used to go and collect all the tige. And use the tweezers, teeth tweezers, and picked up every little piece and started putting on the canvas to create an artwork. And for me, it was Renaissance, was rebirth, because I started to find out my own way how to paint and how to talk about my culture with what Mother Earth was giving me. Laurai, I love work that's interactive. I don't like the public coming to my exhibition and look at the paints and go away. I want them to stay a little bit and play and talk to me. Laurai is a very prominent game that's been in this country for centuries, I think brought by the Chinese. And I literally built the boat and did the Laurai. But what they had to do was to play, but walk along with it. And it was very successful. At the opening night, everyone was playing Laurai. It's contemporary, and it speaks about my tradition. Inalo, dear Mother Earth. My last exhibition was in Jakarta, and I wanted to show that the Timorese culture is heavily imprinted with our foremothers' fingerprints. So I literally drew my fingerprint but I did it with my mom's hair and with betel nut. And I get the chance, every time I do exhibitions, they go, what's that? And I go, guess what, betel nut. It's very strong in my culture, this is what we do. It calls, it's mysterious, it's new, it's innovative. And the notion that if it's not traditional, it's not valuable, it blows my mind. And the younger generation now only communicate in a very contemporary way. How dare we ignore that side of them? How dare we not allow them to grow in a creative way, contemporary way, in today's East Timor? Ground zero, this is my first impression of Dili. It's 100% betel nut. And of course, because I like traveling around Timor, I went to La Clotte, to the river, and I saw the beautiful rocks on the river, and I thought, I wonder if I could do something with this. So I got my dad and my cousins to collect the rocks, got home, made them into powder, turned them into paste, and started painting. It's traditional, it's from the earth, and it talks to the wider audience. We always say to the young people, you have to go and study, you have to fit in, don't be so backwards, don't be so traditional. So we force them all the time to be contemporary, and we forget about their spirituality. So we're going to have a cup that's only half full. We can give them opportunities, we can offer facilities, and I beg you all to start discussing this issue, because otherwise the beautiful, rich, and diverse cultural, artistic country that is East Timor will never be. I don't want future generations to say, they didn't do anything. During independence, they're still very traditional. It's not true. I'm here, I'm not traditional. I love my tradition, but I speak in a contemporary perspective. I'm a woman, probably the only Timorese female artist in the country at the moment. We've got filmmakers, actresses, we've got wonderful creative and talented people, female. But visual art, I don't want to be alone. And I want you to really understand how crucial and important contemporary arts, particularly visual arts, is to East Timor. So before we go, I'd like to just share something with you. The future belongs to those who know who they are. Maria Madeira, I want to be the product of my past, molded to deal with and face the challenges of my future. Thank you.